weights, logging miles, constructing stamina, only to watch those gains begin to disintegrate the moment you stop moving. Most people assume that losing shape is a slow, gradual fade measured in years, but the human body is a fiercely efficient, energy-saving machine. Muscle tissue and cardiovascular stamina are metabolically expensive to maintain. If those physical upgrades are not actively utilized, the body destroys them to conserve its baseline energy. By tracking the blood's chemistry, the human brain, and the muscle tissue over a 30-day countdown, we can map the exact rate of this decline. The 30-day period reveals how quickly these systems degrade once the demand for movement is removed. At exactly 7 days of inactivity, the first major internal casualty occurs. Overall blood volume drops significantly. With less fluid moving through the circulatory system, the heart is forced to pump much harder just to deliver a normal amount of oxygen to the body's tissues. This chart tracks VO2 max, the body's peak ability to utilize oxygen during physical exertion, plotted here against a 7-day timeline. The gap between the initial high capacity and the capacity by day 7 represents the mechanism behind a sudden collapse in stamina. While the cardiovascular system struggles, the neurological system registers an abrupt cessation of exercise-induced endorphin production. Without that regular chemical stimulus, the brain experiences lower energy levels and immediate noticeable mood shifts. Before the mirror reveals any physical difference, the brain and the heart have already suffered measurable deficits. By the 14-day mark, the physiological breakdown shifts from internal chemistry to physical cellular structure. Without regular load-bearing stress, muscle cells physically shrink and lose their structural volume as surrounding fat cells begin to expand. These fat cells take up the newly available metabolic space. Because active muscle tissue burns calories even at rest, losing that mass directly slows down the body's basal metabolic rate. A slower metabolism means sugar extracted from food remains in the bloodstream for longer periods. To manage this excess sugar, the body stores the dietary energy as fat, rather than utilizing it for immediate fuel. After 14 days, the metabolic environment favors the accumulation of fat over the expenditure of energy. At 30 days, the body has completed a full adjustment to its new sedentary state. The accumulated metabolic changes over the month now result in visually noticeable weight gain and a fully altered body composition. This chart shows alterations to the cardiovascular baseline, with resting heart rate and blood pressure climbing across the full 30-day span. The data endpoint reveals the delta between the healthy baseline and these elevated zones, showing constant circulatory stress even while sitting still. In a single month, the body has dismantled nearly all prior physical adaptations to minimize its energy consumption. The body has reached a state of biological efficiency that results in profound physical vulnerability. The timeline demonstrates that human physiology is structurally dependent on continuous physical movement for optimal function. A lifestyle without movement triggers the systematic dismantling of the body's survival assets. However, this schematic shows a biological safeguard against that decay: the human nervous system and muscle memory. When a signal shoots down these established pathways, the brain bypasses the slow process of initial building. These neurological roots remain ready to trigger rapid muscle expansion. Restoring previous size and stamina is accelerated because the brain already knows exactly how to fire the necessary muscle fibers. The timeline of decline finally stops, and the physiological rebuild officially begins, the exact moment you begin to sweat again. Stand up, protect your cardiovascular health, and never let the 30-day clock run out.